All right, everyone. It is Friday, and you know what that means? It is time for Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. I'm one of the co-hosts, Damon Pistolka, and today we're going to be talking about the Industrial Marketing Summit 2026, and we're going to be previewing this with Craig Coffey. Wow, are we excited today? I'm just going to say, yes, I've had lots of caffeine, but I'm going to turn it over to my friend Kurt Anderson, co-host, brother from another mother. Take it away.
Man, pun intended there, right? Lots of coffee, lots of caffeine. So, hey, this is such an honor, such a privilege, way long overdue. Craig, how are you, dude? Happy Friday. Thank you for joining us.
I am good. This is, I don't know, probably my second to last call before I'm on vacation for a week, which is always a great place to be. So, awesome. Kicking off Friday the right way.
Nice. Excellent. Well, hey, are you going anywhere good?
No, sticking around. We got family coming in town for Thanksgiving. Looking forward to. I'm the mashed potato guy for our family Thanksgiving. So
there you go.
I just found out that could be 30 pounds of mashed potatoes.
I've
got one nephew he was a defensive end for the University of Akron. Graduated last year. He's probably good for a good 5-6 pounds of mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
And we'll multiply that out by the 15 or 20 people. More the merrier.
Yeah.
That is awesome. You are a critical cog to the Thanksgiving wheel, my friend.
Yeah. I've proved myself year after year, and now they depend on it. So I'm proud to say that there are rarely leftover mashed potatoes at the end of Thanksgiving. So
man, Damon, are you getting hungry right now? It's lunch where I'm at, so it's I'm getting a little hungry right now. So, Craig, super excited. You're at Eaton. We're going to dive into your marketing acumen, and especially, I had the privilege of catching you live at the Industrial Marketing Summit last year, dude. You absolutely smashed the ball out of the park. Great session, standing room only, and you were so overwhelmingly positive. You were coming back next year for round 2. But before we go there, my friend, I have a little question for you. Are you ready? Yeah. Are you sitting down? Are you ready for this one?
I'm sitting.
Okay. Craig, when you were a little guy growing up, who was your hero? Who did you look up to? Who did you admire? Who showered you with unconditional love? Who was your hero?
Okay. I was going a different direction when you first asked that question. I'll give you the fun answer.
Give us the first one, and then we'll give us both.
Well, I'm going to date myself. The $6 Million Man.
Steve Austin.
Steve Austin, yeah.
If I couldn't be the $6 Million man, I don't know, man. But
did you have the doll? Did you look through their head?
It's action figure. We call it an action figure.
Yeah. Okay, it's an action figure.
Come on, David. You got to be manly when you're talking about Austin.
My collection of action figures lasted exactly as long as until I discovered fire. Then everything became the Human Torch.
Steve, now I was too poor to get the action figure, so I had to go hang out at my friend's house that had one. So Craig, Steve Austin, $6 million. So anybody under the age of 50, you need to Google it. Google the $6 million man. What with inflation, what would he be today? You guys have any idea?
$6 million. Come on.
60 million.
That's a mid-sized mortgage these days.
Like with inflation, must be 100 million.
Yeah. So you got at least put a zero behind.
Right. Who's number 2 hero that came to mind?
Oh, geez. God, I'm going to get sentimental. So I grew up in foster care. I mentioned that because I'm involved in a foster care charity now called Cleveland Angels. And my foster parents, they absolutely saved my life. So
nice.
Man, God, awesome. And what are foster parents? What are their names, please?
Tim and Barb. Shout out to Tim and Barb.
Shout out to Tim and Barb. God bless them, and and kudos to you. My father is very active with. He raised a foster son himself. He couldn't put up with me, Damon, so we got
another one. Yeah,
I'm just kidding. He was like, that kid's a disaster. Let me try this another time. So, but my heart goes out to you, your foster parents, and what great work you're doing at Cleveland Angels. That's wonderful. So, awesome. Craig, let's dive in. So you go to, we were geeking out before we went live. You have, you're a graduate of Gannon University, wonderful university. And you found yourself in marketing, particularly you're a B2B marketing guru. When you were at Gannon University, were you thinking like, hey, I'm going to get into this manufacturing industrial space? Or
no, not really. So I always wanted to be in advertising. I thought that was the way I wanted to go. Found out that maybe let's just put it this way. I wallpapered my room in college, my last year room in college, with rejection letters from every agency from Pittsburgh. But it's just for people on the call who don't know, Erie sits 100 miles away from Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and Cleveland. So I figured I was going to go to one of those 3 big cities because there was no opportunities in Erie. And I literally went through Yellow Pages at a library. This is, again, we're Stone Age stuff, pre-internet. Went to the library like the last month that I was graduating, and I wrote introduction letters and sent my my portfolio to every agency in a phone book in the tri-state area, and I literally got no nibbles. So I moved to Cleveland the day I graduated to take a construction job with now one of my best friends, brothers, and learn how to, like, my first thing I did out of college was learn how to push a broom correctly and drive a backhoe. So, and that kind of set me on the path to in the industrial side of marketing. You know, my very first marketing job was actually it was supposed to be a sales job, and I was working for a company called Inland Waters Pollution Control. It started out as Samsel Supply, Samsel Services. That was the company, believe it or not, that cleaned up the Cuyahoga River after it lit on fire in 1969.
Oh, wow.
So that was the outcropping of that business, became this pollution control business. And I started in sales there, and then I saw I needed to do marketing, and that was my very first marketing job. But that was before like anybody really talked about industrial, or, well, they didn't call it B2B marketing. They really called it industrial marketing. I think there was even an industrial marketing major at Gannon. But I wasn't involved in that. I came by way of like the English department. So I was a professional writing major, which is kind of arrogant in its face to have a major that's professional writing. No longer exists now. So, yeah, so that's kind of how I got into it. And it wasn't really until I landed at Parker Hannifin, which took I was with the Inland Waters, and then I worked for a Caterpillar dealer doing marketing for them locally. They were the state of Ohio cat dealer. And then I went to Parker Hannifin from there. And that's when I really, really found my tribe. I went to, it was the Business Marketing Association Summit. They used to take place in Chicago it was usually the week before Labor Day.
Yeah.
And that's the first conference I had ever been to where every speaker, none of the speakers need to be translated from B2C to B2B. So it was directly relatable to me. I met some people that I still call on and hang out with and see on occasion. And it really opened my eyes to this idea of B2B marketing and as a separate and different discipline. And that led to industrial marketing, which led, I've kind of stayed in that lane through Parker, Lincoln Electric, and now to Eaton. So it's been a long journey, but so much in there.
Gosh, and again, like the who's who, Parker Hannifin and Cat, and now you're at Eaton, and how what made you gravitate to like these mammoth names, big brands? Anything in particular? Was just like where the jobs were, or
I think when I went from Ohio Cat to Parker, I just kind of wanted to be in the big leagues. Like I wanted to play and luckily all these companies basically circle the 271 corridor in Cleveland, so that's all relatively local to Cleveland. Yep. But it gave me an opportunity to kind of flex a different muscle, work in a different environment. And there's pros and cons to all that. I mean, like thinking about like the folks at IMS, I recognize that a lot of the people coming there maybe they're the chief cook and bottle washers of their marketing departments and doing it all. Yeah. I had that experience. And so I recognize the challenges of that experience 100%. And then going to kind of gradually more sophisticated marketing organizations, there's gives and takes. I mean, more sophisticated equals more bureaucracy, more red tape.
Yeah.
Less autonomy. Takes more time sometimes. More process. All good reasons to have that stuff. But sometimes sometimes the grass is always greener. Sometimes you think, boy, if I could just go back to and be the guy who got to make the decision, execute the decision, and reap the benefits of the decision, there's some value there too.
Yeah.
So shout out to the guys who are doing it all.
Yeah. And that's, and I like what you're saying, found your crowd, found your peeps. And that's, and we're here talking today about the Industrial Marketing Summit. And that's a line that people are frequently using, like, oh, I found my people. And It's, it's a little bit being in that B2B space, I'm going to say like we're kind of like Misfit Island or a little bit of oddballs, but it's not a common theme, if you will. And so having a conference exclusively for that industrial B2B folks, where typically it's a solo marketer, they're by themselves, they're trying to do everything, and it's great to come together. Yep. It's great to come together. So let's do this. I want to give us a shout out on Eaton. Tell us a little bit about Eaton. And then I want to slide into, you've got a great jam session coming up at the Industrial Marketing Summit. But who is Eaton? How do you and your team make the world a better place?
So Eaton is a global manufacturing organization. We serve a variety of industries, and people experience us from everywhere from, if I say Eaton to some crowds, it's truck transmissions and or performance automotive parts. We have a nice play in electric vehicle, both charging infrastructure and on the OEM manufacturing side of things. I'm on the electrical sector of Eaton, which is, from a segment standpoint, I manage the global residential segment marketing. But think about that as utilities, industrial, residential, commercial buildings. What am I missing? We have an aerospace group. I mean, we are a substantial organization, but but like a lot of the people who go to IMS or recognize, we are probably not the first company that comes to mind. We are a supplier. We're more of an ingredient brand to a lot of companies, but we're trying to change that, especially in the residential side of our business, where we have the opportunity to sell directly through retail in some countries, including US. IT is data centers. Data centers is huge for us. I can't believe I almost forgot that. Data centers and the explosion of AI right now is a huge power play for us. We're very much involved in all the spaces. Look at rack space, cooling and heating, energy storage. These are all. I'm just kind of like, we have a lot going on. We're the one place when I was at Parker Hannifin, we were competitive in the hydraulic space. And I think it was probably 5-6 years ago, we divested our hydraulics business and focused more on the electrical and industrial sectors, which includes aerospace. But we play in a lot of places. I always tell people, if you go around your home, specifically if you go to your electrical breaker box, there's probably a 1 in 4 chance that you've got an Eaton panel of Eaton breakers in your house, or light switches, or outlets in your house. So that's the space that I play in.
Yeah.
A lot of the behind the scenes products that people don't even know that they're touching their products. They have no idea.
Yeah. I was just having dinner with a friend, was telling me about the stuff, some of the amazing things that they're putting in the data centers as far as just the cabling and throughput and the speed and with the fiber and the things they can do. And I know Eaton's one of the players and that kind of stuff.
I'm looking at that. It's on the screen right now. And one of the things that I always think it's funny, but it's always a good story is golf grips. Why are we in golf grips?
Yeah.
So we own a company called Golf Pride. Golf Pride is probably one of the best selling golf grip in the world. And the story that I heard, and we'll test this out to be true, maybe somebody called BS on this, but the story I heard was when we were in the hydraulics business, we had excess capacity in our one of our rubber lines. So somebody said, why don't we try making golf grips? And it just, through our divestiture of the hydraulics business, it kind of hung around. It makes good money for it. It's good. And nobody ever knows it's part of Eaton, but you'll recognize that every time. There's a much higher percentage of you having a Golf Pride golf grip in your golf bag than there's probably one of our light switches even. So we'll work to change that.
Very cool.
So Craig, for folks out there, that smaller manufacturers, they're like, geez, I'm doing marketing at a 100 person manufacturer. We custom contract manufacturer, or maybe they're a small OEM. Working at a mammoth company, just share a little bit of like the insight, not necessarily, hey, day to day, but like, what are some of the marketing challenges? What are you tackling? What are you excited about? Share us a little bit on the inside from your perspective.
I think some of the challenges are the same. And when, everybody sees Eaton as, we're a very large organization, both by employees and by revenue, but we operate tight and like in groups we operate in are relatively tight and small and we're, again, not autonomous. We can't just do what we want to do. We have to, the remainder of this year, we're always spending like proving business outcome cases for asking for more budget extension.
Yeah.
This is the kind of fight that we fight every day. It's like, prove to me the marketing's working. I think that happens everywhere. That's universal.
Yes.
Prove to me that if you spend money that will make money, get eyeballs, get leads, whatever, we deal with that every day. So I think that's common to us. but again, we have the challenges that we're a relatively siloed, sometimes fractured organization. I work for an organization and for a boss who's done amazing things to create an organization that really has value to the senior level of our organization, the executive level of our organization. This is probably I would say without a doubt, this is the first organization I've ever worked for where marketing really has a seat at the table. And it's not just it's not just marketing. I always kind of point this out. Usually at most organizations, you've got to kind of look at the big S, little m. So sales is generally bigger than marketing, and marketing is kind of subservient or reporting to sales. We're on a parallel track with sales, which is great. So we get a lot of respect because of that. It's been a journey, and I'm lucky enough to benefit from the tail end of the journey, or at least from the people who did the hard work to make that case and make that separation early on. But and we could go on for an hour just on how can we get sales and marketing to get along. I think that's another place that a lot of small, medium-sized marketing organizations struggle with. I mean, I always tell people, like, if the chief marketing person in your organization's title has sales in it, then you're in a sales organization, not necessarily a marketing organization. And they know that. So, helping people find their way so that marketing has its own dedicated kind of path to the leadership is really, really important.
I think that's really important though, too, because when you try to mix sales and marketing as the organizations get larger, you always have that conflict. Am I selling? Am I out talking to clients? Am I doing whatever that is? Or am I marketing? And when you can get them working together, but with distinct roles, you have a supporting function with each one of them. They're supporting each other, but the overall goal is to drive that revenue up by them working together.
Well, yeah, a couple of things come to mind with that. First thing is everybody thinks marketing is easy because everybody experiences marketing every day. Like ask any sales guy and they'll say marketing has the easiest job ever.
Yeah. Just throw something up, makes a difference.
Right. You're just out there making brochures. Like,
a
fair bit more. There's a fair bit more than that going on out there, I hope. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. That was kind of one of the topics of my talk at IMS last year was so I was there when content marketing was first coined. I was the first content marketing world. I've been to I think I'm one of like 5 people who's been to every one. I've had a chance to speak at many of them. And what I recognized, first of all, Joe Palizzi, the guy who started this whole content marketing craze, was pretty genius in establishing this. But what he did that hurts everybody now is everybody thinks that all marketing is content marketing. And there's a lot of marketing that is, frankly, it's collateral. It's the development of collateral that needs to support, that are requirements that sales needs to get their job done. But when I think about content marketing and kind of like stepping into what we're talking about this year, content marketing is more of a free flow of information in a more ungated way that allows people that is really driven by one thing and one thing only creating audience. And that's not just creating contacts. Audience is somebody who actually wants to interact with you. Like I think about audience, when you go to a Bruce Springsteen concert, the audience is singing along for every song. I mean, that is the gold standard. You're giving your information away in order with the bet that the free flow of that information will buy you affinity and buy you opportunity.
Yep.
And that's a really, really broad brush. But I think that now that the content marketing is so prevalent, everybody thinks that just because there's a word on a piece of paper or on a screen, that it's content, and that's not always the case. But that's the world we live in. So one of the things we're approaching this year with IMS is kind of came from, I think it was the final question that I was asked in the Q&A for my session was, what are my thoughts on gating content? Mm-hmm. And I said, gates are for livestock, which I thought was a pretty, got to laugh. It got pretty, but it became kind of a controversial thing after the event. I got a lot of inquiries, a lot of static. I heard it was mentioned a couple of other times. I had to leave early, but I was mentioned a few times after that at some of the general sessions. And as I dug into it, I realized what a flippant answer that was. And then I started to have some experiences at my own organization talking about content gating and the why we gate content and the when we gate content. And I realized that there's not a one size fits all solution, but it's kind of a thoughtful, it's a considered answer, and it's based on a bunch of things. We're still going through I'll be completely honest. We're still going through the process to find out like what approach to gating is right for Eaton. And I'm hoping that by the time IMS rolls around, I'll have some of the results of that research and work. But I got some really good advice from folks on LinkedIn. Like one of the best pieces of advice that came from, and I'll have to remember who gave this to me. Or I'll definitely shout it out at IMS because I'm going to go back through these conversations. But it was, what do you intend to do with the end result? If you get somebody to give your information, you have to be ready. You have to be ready to act on it, and you have to be able to give that to sales and have sales be able to act on it right away. Otherwise, you shouldn't be giving it away. Another view on content gating right now is, let's just talk about the elephant in the room, AI. I mean, AI and content gates don't play well together. So if you want to be seen by where people are going to find information,
yep,
you might want to reconsider what your content gating strategy is. Even in my own organization, I have found that there is potentially cultural differences in our approach to gating. I'm personally not a person who wants to fill out forms unless I'm very, very low in the sales funnel. And that goes back to that. Don't ask for information unless unless I'm ready to buy and you're ready to sell, and use that information to that advantage, and then do it quickly. Don't wait 3 months.
Yeah.
3 hours is probably what we're going to wait. And the car dealers are like the worst at that, right? Like,
yeah.
As soon as you fill out a form, they are on you, and you're just trying to build your car online and just want to get a quote. So but that's B2C, kind of B2C example, but where's I going with that? Sorry. Derailed myself in the train of thought.
Yeah, no, dude, this is phenomenal. So just for anybody, if you're just joining us, we're here with Craig Coffey, and we're doing a deep dive into multiple things. We're talking about gated content, yes or no, is it good or bad, evil, positive, right? And we're talking.
And the short answer is it depends. I mean, what I was going to say is there is also potentially geographically cultural aspect to gating content. In my discussions with some of my peers around the world, there seems to be, we haven't proven this out yet, but there seems to be a higher predilection in parts of Europe to freely gate content, which to freely gate content, to openly gate content. People are willing to give their information up, which to me is counterintuitive, given all the challenges from what's the law they passed there.
Yeah, the regulations of who you can market to in Europe.
Right, and have the right to be forgotten.
Yeah.
So maybe it's because they have the ability to be forgotten there that they're willing to say, for this case, we'll give you information, but only for this case. We're still trying to scratch that. But so when I'm at IMS, I hope to be talking more about things to consider, not why you should or shouldn't. Yeah. Because, but mostly, I think that it's definitely on us as the marketers to consider the customer experience with regard to gating. I know a lot of why we gate content now came from our earlier conversation about our ability to prove to sales that what we're doing was working by providing them leads.
Right.
Now, are we providing leads or contacts? That's a different conversation, but it was a way to check us and say, okay, you did a campaign, that campaign produced these results, which turned into this kind of pipeline, which turned into this kind of sales. Mm-hmm. That may or may not be like history in terms of how we want to approach it going forward. I think there's lots of ways to measure interaction with our customers. Again, as a pure content marketer who happens to sit in a place where my job is to create affinity and awareness more than it is to create leads and generate pipeline, that changes my view of why gating is or is not important. So, but on balance, if we invested in some kind of a very detailed configurator that a customer will use to put an Eaton product into their data center, for example, then I think it's certainly viable for us to say, in order for us to give you that data, then we need to have some information about you.
Yeah.
And in that case, I think there's fair exchange for value. But when you say that term, fair exchange for value, there's a couple of variable words in there. What is fair? what is the exchange and what is value. So those things have to be very clearly defined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great how you bring up it depends, because I've seen a lot of places where you'll go to a website and they might have a lot of resources, but every single one's gated, and then you go to other ones that it's not gated at all. Right. And there really is, as you said, where you're exchanging that bit of value, maybe even, I don't know, for lack of a better term, deeper down the chain, is I want this product information, or I want this specific technical guide for this item. That might be a way where it could be more appropriate for you.
Yeah. And I think a lot of companies, even what I call less sophisticated companies, are probably have that information behind some kind of a firewall that we could open up for a single, a single piece of content information, whether it's, adding to a CRM so we can see, and there's definitely trackability and traceability there. I think on the marketing side of things, so that tends to be like an after sale thing. When you buy our stuff, we'll let you into this exclusive club of people who are allowed to see the content related to the stuff you bought. But if we flip the script on that and say, we're going to let you in, into the kimono for our information. But by the way, when you go into that behind the firewall stuff, we're going to monitor what you're looking at so we know when to help you. But it's up to us to have the communication, not abuse that relationship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Super helpful. So I'm going to for friends that are, if you're cutting out, if you have a hard stop, connect with Craig on LinkedIn. You'll thank us later. And again, stop by the Industrial Marketing Summit. Now, Craig, check this out. If you were to do a Google search for Industrial Marketing Summit, guess who comes up? Hey, look at that handsome guy right there.
That ugly son of a bitch.
Look at that right there.
That's sorry, Industrial Marketing Summit. You can do better than that.
That's so. Hey, we got Craig. Craig is coming up right on the first page of search. So let's take a look at the speakers. So Craig, we've got you right down here, and so look at this, guys. Like all sorts of amazing, incredible topics. Great speakers. I tell you, the team, our friends at True Marketing and Gorilla 76. They've done an incredible job putting together a who's who. And hey, here's this handsome devil right here. So, Craig, as you were describing, the topic kind of came about at the end of your great session last year. And so let's dive in. I felt you were doing a great job talking about like SEO a little bit before we went live. Share a little bit, like for our SEO friends out there, about like why maybe you want to reconsider that gated information from an AI and SEO standpoint.
Yeah, we've got a close colleague of mine who runs our SEO business for the electrical sector, and I talk a lot about gating. And it's funny, we're the guys who have the meeting that's going on behind the meeting, like we'll be talking about. And we are like, he's my biggest advocate for looking at ways to help people understand that gating is going to hurt them in the long run from an SEO, or they're not even calling it SEO anymore. There's a new word that includes AI that I've been introduced to, but not enough to remember it. And it's just that you're putting a wall between the crawlers, and I'm using old terminology, and our content when we gate everything. I mean, again, I'm an advocate of not gating the stuff that we should be giving away. If we want to, you can't be a thought leader if you're going to gate your content, because who's going to see your thoughts? Who's going to call? I mean, it's got to be seen by everybody. But for like, if that leads down, and I'm going to editorialize, and this is not Eaton's opinion, this is my opinion. What if there is no such thing as the sales funnel? What if it's just the brand that comes top of mind when you want to make a decision that wins? And I was at Marketing Profs B2B Summit last year, and I heard a woman who, again, terrible with names, but she spoke about that concept being true. I mean, so if there is no such thing as a sales funnel, people will just use the information you give them to justify the decision they've already made. And unless they can't get knocked off that decision by any of the information that you're using to justify it, then you basically won the battle. So being top of mind might be more important than having a complete funnel's worth of information that addresses, awareness to consideration to blah, blah, blah to purchase. So if you think about that, and again, my business is probably a little closer to B2C than most in Eaton, because I do deal with that residential the residential product line. But most people are B2C in their life, and it always amazes me when we don't recognize that people don't turn off their human nature when they go to the office, and that they still expect that Amazon-like experience or that Google-like experience when it comes to information. And again, from an SEO standpoint, there's definitely research that supports the fact that people aren't even visiting websites anymore because they're going to the search engines, they're going to the ChatGPTs who are serving them up information they're finding on these websites. So if you aren't in that set of in that information that's getting found, then you're not going to get served up to people who may never come to your website. So maybe it's a consideration of like, what if you didn't have a website? What if you were and how would you treat content then? Where would you put it? How would you treat it? Again, I have my opinion on gating, but it's definitely, I just want to be very clear. It's definitely relevant or related to my role within our organization, and it's not for everybody. There's a big, it depends on where you sit and what your role is. But I think that, and again, I don't want to give away my entire presentation. Well, frankly, it hasn't been done yet. So
right.
Okay, I haven't started it yet, but the seed of the idea is you got to keep the customer experience in mind first. And if you try and put yourself in the driver's seat for that customer about how you find information, act on information, when you're ultimately willing and able to give up your information so that they can contact you, or for you to be, or are they going to be proactive and just make that purchase without ever contacting sales? I mean, that's the other thing is like we're going to more direct to consumer mentality. Does sales need to be involved with that? Who are we collect? I mean, if you're collecting information just so you can say that I increased the size of our contact database from, by 30% in a year, is that really like, and here's the other thing. I also press on the idea, like, who amongst us doesn't have an email address we use that we know is going to be the slush email, like the Gmail account that we used because you want to get a 20% off offer or something like that. So requiring gate, does it drive a negative in terms of data quality from the contacts? Potentially.
And you said this, the thing that really, and I was reading something last week about it, is that people don't even go to websites anymore. And wasn't it like someone said a couple weeks ago or something that like 30% of search has gone away just because, or 30% because that, if you got the AI turned on in Google, it's giving you the answer right there. And I know in my own work, I don't go to nearly as many websites because I ask the question rather than, and it's phrased differently and everything else because I'm hoping to get that answer up there. And tying that back to gating your content, you want your content to be found all the time because otherwise you're not going to be, the AI is not going to see it.
Yeah, and like where again, using myself as, you hate to fall into the trap where you think you represent your end user customer 100%. You got to validate this with testing, but make some assumptions. Like I will go to those websites if I see a link that I think will support either some research or something that I'm doing, and then I'll decide whether or not that link is that resource is credible based on what I find there. So, but if I'm just looking for the straight up answer to something, I may not. And if the answer is definitive, I may not ever go to that next step. And that changes so again, if you're trying to be a market leader or to, or have a first to market product that's never seen the light of day, and you think that because it's so cool, you want everybody to sit behind a gate in order to get that information, you might never get off the ground. So,
this is all right. So Craig, when someone drops a bombshell on our show, we call it a drop the mic moment. But then when it goes way above the drop the mic, we call it like a moment of silence. So the thing is, like, this was like a moment of silence. Like, dude, like I'm like blown away right now because think about this. And we're in manufacturing, B2B, industrial. How many folks, have neglected, ignored websites? This thing's a fad, or like, I was with a manufacturer call last week. Their website's from like 2005. They're now almost coming back in vogue because, like you just said, like, what if people aren't going to the website? Like, what if websites become irrelevant?
Yeah,
right.
I mean, like SEO is definitely not my strength. I mean, I rely on much smarter people to help us guide our SEO. Shout out to Todd Roberts at Eaton, who's my guru there. But it just, you gotta, like you said, we saw that cliff, that 30% drop off in website traffic. And it happened at about the same time that Google Analytics changed from, I think it was 3 to 4. So there were some things we lost there. But the question becomes, well, how do we measure that we're doing the right things? And I don't think anybody's got the answer yet to that.
Yeah. And you know what's fascinating? So Wall Street Journal just had an article today about how McKinsey is completely changing like their consulting model because of AI, how AI's and it's more what are results. And that's what I love what you're saying, because like even aside I don't mean to say it like that. Obviously a company the size of Eaton, like, you know, every marketer on the planet, whether you're at a 5-person flower shop or you're at Eaton, needs to justify their existence to the boss or somebody who's paying them. Like, you know, what are you doing over there? And Mark, you know, are you playing on Facebook? Are you trying to make me money? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And so you're in the same boat. Like, hey, I have to justify my existence. I'm going against AI, 30% drop in traffic. So like you're going against a wave on a number of things, just like everybody else. From the search, here's my question to you. And I guess I'm just kind of being more reactive is, you know, so say Eaton or, you know, any company is like, that's the best fit for me. As a searcher, I go to AI or what have you. I still need to find like that. I need to still find that product, that solution, you know, the golf grips or whatever. Right. So I still need to get to that product line, but I might take a different path to get to that product. Right. That's what's happening.
Well, yeah. And I think that you hit on something that I think is important for everybody to remember. Is that people aren't looking for products; they're looking for a solution to a problem. It's like it's like, you know, when we're trying to it's the old adage when Stanley Black & Decker is trying to sell a drill bit, the person's just trying to buy a hole
in the wall, right?
Right, and then you do that with a nail, a drill bit, a rock. Right. I mean, there's lots of ways you can make a hole in the wall. So don't think you're competing against the other drill manufacturers. You're competing against the other options that are available. Yeah. So I think framing that, like knowing that there's a broader audience to that solution is important.
Yeah. I've been battling a cold this week. I use that line all the week or all the time. I'm like, you know, I'm not looking for Kleenex. I'm looking to stop my runny nose. You know what I mean? Right. So it's the problem that we're trying to solve. Dude, this is absolutely phenomenal. So for anybody out there that is considering going to Industrial Marketing Summit, it is in first week of March. It's in Austin, Texas. You get to hear Craig live in person. All sorts of other great, amazing speakers. They've got a great keynote, Rand Fishkin this year. And we have a little coupon code, Damon.
Yes, we do.
Do you remember what is that coupon code? Do you remember?
No.
It's B2B tail. So letter B as in boy, number 2, B as in boy, tail, just like your dog's wagging their tail. My dog doesn't have a tail. It's a little bulldog. But so B2Btail.com, you put that in when you go to register, and you're going to get a little coupon. You're going to save a significant amount of money just to get to go see Craig live. Craig, what else? What other takeaways, and what were you super excited about from IMS 2025 that you're super excited about for 26?
Yeah, well, first of all, shout out to True Marketing Grill 76. Those guys put on an amazing event. My understanding is that because of the size of the event last year and their anticipated growth, they're moving to another larger venue this year.
Yeah, it's a bigger venue. Yeah.
I think that those guys have their finger on the pulse of something that is becoming a movement. I mean, first of all, it's just really like we all went through COVID. We don't have to beat the dead horse on that one, but it's so nice to get together with people who get what your struggles are.
Yep.
What I tell people who go to these kinds of events all the time is leave your ego at the door. Everybody has something to share and something to gain when you go to these kinds of events.
Yeah.
The folks at True, I've known Wendy Coffey since, God, I think I saw her speak first about the research they do consistently on industrial marketing and engineers in specifically and how they search for information. And she's a clinic herself. I mean, she's great. No lack of fun to be had. First of all, I'm sure there'll be karaoke. I will embarrass myself as I typically do with some rendition of some terrible song that I don't know all the words to. So check your ego at the door. Bring your fun. Get ready to learn. And here's the thing: I like anytime you get to be in front of people who are your peers or sat where you sat. There's in events like this, you make friends that you'll have for your entire career and sometimes your entire life outside of your profession. This is the network that will help you get to your next level if that's where you want to go. I always tell people too, I wish I would have started looking for opportunities to speak at events like IMS 15 years ago, 20 years ago, because there's always some knowledge that you can drop that you've learned. Don't be afraid to do that. Look for opportunities to stand out in a crowd. They're there. Austin's gorgeous. I mean, I can go on and on. So
yep. It's all the cool kids are going to be there, so you don't want to miss out. If you're thinking, geez, I might have FOMO. Yes, you are going to have FOMO. You need to be in Austin.
I had to leave a day early and I had FOMO. So I was like,
yeah, exactly. So it's, I'd say, and Craig, what we're doing is we're shamelessly, I think almost every speaker is going to be coming on our show, just kind of giving a little sneak preview. So it's great for Dame and I. Then, like a perfect example, we just get a free little masterclass from our good friend Craig. And so, Craig, first off, we're going to start winding down. I want to give a huge, massive thank you to you. But before, I've got a couple more questions before we wind down and close out.
Here we go.
So number one, what I love to ask, dude, you've had an amazing, incredible career. And also I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. And I know you're a very modest guy. And I started saying this earlier. You are an amazing, incredible public speaker. I was at your session last year, and Damon, I'm telling you, and everybody out there, he just commands a room. There was a little bit of like technical difficulties. He handled it so seamlessly, and he's funny. He's hysterical. And just, I loved every bit of it. And of course, I love all the speakers, but we won't say which one was our favorite, Craig, but you were, but I'm just kidding. So, but it was, again, you want to catch Craig, and you really handled, you interact with the room, which kind of puts you in a vulnerable situation if you get the goofball that wants to kind of, be the heckler, if you will. And I thought you handled the room with grace, poise, humor, and just do an amazing job. As we wind down, I love to ask folks best business advice. What's the best business advice that you recall, maybe your days at Gannon or through your career, a mentor? What would you like to pass along?
Yeah, this is I hate to say this, and it's just kind of a sad state of affair, but I can say this because I'm late in my career now and I don't plan to leave Eaton. But sometimes you got to move out to move up. Sometimes the only place you're going to be recognized for the things you do well are going to be recognized by your next employer, not your current employer.
Yep.
So that's a tough one to swallow for a lot of people. Maybe generationally, that's not as big of a deal, but I've got a lot of companies in my resume because each one represented an opportunity to move up in my career, either to gain more knowledge, to gain more responsibility, to broaden my horizons. So I would tell anybody who's young in their career that they should look at that way. Again, my horizon is not long, so I love where I'm at right now and don't anticipate, God forbid, moving out of Eaton, but that's one I think that everybody should recognize.
Nice. Oh, great advice.
Don't be afraid of the void.
Hey, dude, you got another 20, 25 years ahead of you, right? So, Damon, takeaways, thoughts. What really hit you hard today with the conversation with Craig?
Oh man, so if someone is contemplating going to the Industrial Marketing Summit next March, I just go get signed up for it. You can use the B2B tail code, get a good discount on it, and be able to go to it. But there are a ton of speakers, Craig being one of them, and like you said, Craig's our favorite today. He's awesome.
Today. Yeah.
No, I mean, because you are in that world and you really understand what's going on, and not just from being at Eaton, but your wide variety of experience from back when you're, a local kind of place or a Caterpillar dealership, or the different things that you talked about, and through Parker Hannifin and different kinds of product. Wow. Being able to, and just thanks so much for being here today. And I just can only imagine what being able to interact with you at the Industrial Marketing Summit next year really is going to just such a gift.
Well, I do appreciate that. And one thing, I just want to say, I'm there to learn too. I mean, I'm not incapable of that. I know old dogs and new tricks and things like that. But I'll give you an example. I think it was Dale Bertrand that after the IMS Summit, I started following some of the stuff he was saying. He does a lot more public speaking than I do. But one of the best pieces of advice I got, and I use it to this day, is most of the time when you're doing the speaking engagement, you sit in the front of the room nervously waiting for everybody to kind of come and take their seats. And that's when you start getting the sweaty armpits and palms and, hoping that everything, that your PowerPoint actually works. And his advice was go to where people are walking in and introduce yourself to people on the way in. And it creates a sense of familiarity and a way to calm yourself. So easy, but why didn't I think of that? There's 1,000 moments like that you'll pull out of IMS if you pay attention. And that's the kind of stuff that really excites me about going to these events and seeing stuff like that.
Awesome.
Brilliant advice. And Dale does a wonderful, great, gifted public speaker, does a great job. And what great advice to, greet the people on your way in the room. So Craig, as we wind down, close out, I have one question left for you.
Yep.
So you mentioned now Cleveland, and I just drove by Parker Hannifin the other day. I was visiting my daughter in college, and I just drove by Parker on Monday.
Go Streaks.
Go Streaks, dude. I got my Go Streaks shirt over there. So now, are you a Guardians fan? Are you a baseball fan by any chance?
I've been lucky enough to go to a few games this year. We had a nice run into the playoffs. I was there when we didn't do it against Toronto.
Right. Well, hey, great, Damon. Yeah, Cleveland has a phenomenal baseball field, the Jake, and wonderful stadium. Been there.
You are dating yourself calling it the Jake.
Yeah, I know that's true. It's still now. Remember the Municipal Stadium? That was I remember going to the Cleveland Stadium in the 70s, right?
Yeah, like half the seats were restricted view, like because they were behind huge pillars and they were playing.
Nothing better, right? I remember getting like a free baseball bat. So
you weren't going to ask me a Browns question, are you?
What's that?
You aren't going to ask me a Browns question, are you?
I'm not. I'm going to ask. But we're going to do a little baseball trivia. You ready?
Ooh. All right, I'll try.
Okay. The Guardians are playing the dreaded, hated Yankees. Okay. It's a bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. There's one guy on second base. Tie score, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. Manager turns down the bench and says, "Hey, Coffey, grab your helmet, grab your bat, get up to the plate, hit in the winning run so we can beat those dreaded Yankees." So you grab your helmet, you grab your bat. On the way to the plate to go hit in the winning run, what's your walk-up song?
Oh, man. I thought you were going a different direction with this. What is my walk-up song? I'm going to go, because the first thing that came to mind, Hell's Bells by AC/DC.
Hell's Bells by Damon. I don't think we've been asking that question for years. I don't think we've ever had Hell's Bells.
Just the gong, and it's got that. Yeah, I think that would have to be it.
Wait, I think I can hear it. There it is, Damon.
That's it.
Dude. So, and Craig, for the record, Damon, we're playing our 8-track player right now, right, Damon?
Yeah, I got the 8-track. I had to kick it through a couple channels.
Yeah.
I had AC/DC Back in Black on 8-track. That is a
story. Yeah.
So anyway, all right, Craig. As we close out, dude, thank you. We appreciate you. We wish you and your family just a wonderful, spectacular Thanksgiving holiday next week. Any last parting thoughts, words of wisdom that you want to share as we close out?
No, just have a really, really safe and happy Thanksgiving and holiday season. Come back refreshed, and you'll be amazed how quickly it goes from December to March. And we'll see you guys all in Austin.
Yeah. Absolutely, guys. Again, Industrial Marketing Summit. Google it. Check it out. Go on ChatGPT. And again, we've got a little coupon code for you guys. B2B Tail. Check that out. You're going to save a couple of dollars. You get to see Craig live. So, Craig, hang out with us for 1 second.
All right.
And we're going to take it away. And, Damon, like we always like to say before we close out, man, just go out there and be someone's inspiration, just like our dear friend Craig. And how about a big round of applause for everybody here? Big round of applause for Craig for just giving us a master class.
Yes.
On gated versus gated. Damon, close us out, dude.
Yes. Thanks so much for being here today, Craig. I want to thank everyone else out there today. Got Marizul, we got Fahad, and I know there were a lot of other people I could see that were listening out there but didn't comment. We appreciate you being here, and we're out for now, and we'll be back next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.